McCall. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much again for joining this morning. I want to pay homage to our sponsor, and our sponsor is ShareNote.com, which is a web-based electronic health record system designed specifically for the behavioral health care industry. If you have a behavioral health care organization or associated with one, please take a look at ShareNote.com. So today, what we're going to talk about is a law in leadership that's very, 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 very important, and that is the law of navigation. And I want to start with a quote, and the quote is simply, "A leader sees more, sees further, and sees before others." And basically, in a nutshell, what that means is that anyone can steer a ship, but a leader is in the business of plotting a course. A leader is in the business of plotting a course, which is so much different than someone just guiding the ship along. Plotting the course takes three very, very important steps. Step number one, which is so important, and that is preparation. I don't know if you've ever painted a room or if you've ever talked to a professional painter about painting a room. The most important job when it comes to painting a room is the preparation, and that's making sure you have your tape lined up properly. That's making sure that you smooth the walls out. If there are any holes in the walls or any indentions in the walls, that you've taken the time to fill in those holes and to use that putty to clear up any dents or anything in the walls, and taking the time to prepare properly. That room makes painting the room so much easier. It makes painting that room so much easier. So preparation is first and foremost the most important aspect of this law of navigation that I'm talking about. Number two, a leader must have vision of the future. There's a difference between sight and vision. Someone with sight, they have the ability to see, the trees. Someone with vision, they have ability to see the entire forest. So number two is, in the law of navigation, is the individual must have vision. Number three, you must be able to reflect on the past. You must have the ability to reflect on the past, because the past is like a reference book where if you need help in the area of doing something really, really well, you can reflect on a time that you did really, really well. Or if you come upon a situation that you've experienced in the past, you can reflect on how you dealt with that situation in the past. What's cool is we can use our own, or we can reflect on our own past, or we can reflect on our mentors' past, or we can reflect on the past of other leaders that had to deal with certain situations and certain circumstances. So it's reflecting on the past is very, very important. So the three key aspects to being able to plot a course is, one, preparation, two, having vision, and three, being able to reflect on the past. Okay? When it comes to, again, plotting this course, it's very, very important to be able to plan ahead. Planning is so very important. When we plan, it makes the activity, it makes what we're going through, it makes it so much easier. So because you have a sense of doing that particular activity. For an example, when I was in high school and I played basketball, I wasn't very good as a sophomore. And I'll never forget I was standing one time when I did finally get a chance to get into the game. I was standing on the side of a free throw. And I said in my mind, when the ball comes off the rim, I'm going to get this rebound. I'm going to head fake. I'm going to bounce the ball once, and I'm going to lay it up. That's what I said in my mind before the play even took place. So the guy at the free throw line, he shoots the ball. He misses. I get the ball. I do my head fake. I bounce the ball, and I shoot it. I miss. But it was so much easier because in my mind I had laid out what I was going to do. So planning is so, so very important for a leader when it comes to plotting a course for those who are following you. So planning ahead is very, very important. Having specific goals and objectives, laying out your goals and your objectives are very, very important. Because if we have specific goals and we have specific objectives, we're going to stay focused. We're not going to waffle, and we're not going to be blown by the wind all over the place. We're going to have a guide to keep us on point when it comes to plotting this course for those that follow us. Our priorities will also tie into, or having priorities will also tie into having specific goals and having specific objectives. The cool thing about priorities is that those priorities can be adjusted from time to time. I'm a firm believer that this thing that we call balance is hard for us to really reach, this so-called balance that we're looking for when it comes to our lives, because what happens is our priorities shift and our priorities change. So we have priorities. The priorities that we have today may not be the same priorities today. I don't know if you've ever had a child. Well, if you have a child, when that newborn comes, everything shifts to that newborn. So the newborn now has priority because we want to make sure the newborn is taken care of, the newborn is fed, the newborn is changed. Everyone kind of focuses on this newborn because that's the current priority at this particular time. It doesn't mean that everything else is not important. It just means that those other things are now second, third, fourth, and fifth. So your priorities can and your priorities will adjust from time to time. Okay? Next thing is having key people around you, or having key personnel around you, and being able to put them on notice when you need to be able to put them on notice, whatever that notice is, a good notice or not so good notice, but having key people around you and being able to put them on notice to help you achieve those goals and those specific objectives. And then having time for acceptance. Last week we talked about how leadership is a process, and leadership is not microwavable, and it should be more of a crock pot process and not a microwavable process. So there has to be time for acceptance of ideas. There has to be time for, oftentimes, acceptance of you. There has to be time of acceptance if your priorities shift, if your goals change, but there has to be time for acceptance from those that follow you, regardless of what the change is going to be or what the addition is going to be to your goals, to your objectives, to what you're trying to accomplish. And lastly, there has to be action. There has to be action, and you have to lead that action. Any idea or anything that's ever happened or anything that's ever been birthed started with a thought, first and foremost, then somebody communicated it, and then there was a corresponding action. So you have to be in the business of action. You have to be in the business of not just talking about something and not just coming up with great ideas all the time, but you have to be in the business of action and making sure that the things that you talk about, the things that you think about, the goals, the objectives that you have, the priorities that you have, that there is some corresponding action to making those things happen. Because if not, then it's just a thought. If not, then it's just an idea that never took flight, that can never ever benefit anyone. When it comes to planning as a leader, when it comes to plotting the course, I recently learned that oftentimes our plans include what we expect to happen. Our plans include the good things, basically, but you should plan for your process, or you should plan for your goals and your objectives being interrupted. You should plan for things not working the right way, because if you plan for those things, you should plan for your child spilling the apple juice in the back seat of the car. That means you have an extra, set of clothes. That means that you know exactly what to do when your child spills the apple juice in the rear of the car. Now, what that does is not only does it put you in a better situation to deal with that problem, but it also puts you in a better frame of mind. Because if the child spills the apple juice in the backseat of a car, you can say to yourself, you know what, I expected this, and it's not a surprise to you because you've already planned for it. So it helps shape your frame of mind. Now, what does that do? Well, what that does is it helps you with the next step, because oftentimes if something doesn't go our way, then it affects our frame of mind. And if it affects our frame of mind, then sometimes it messes up the entire day, or it messes up the entire process. Well, no, I'm going to plan for those things that might not go right, because when I plan for those things that might not go right, I prepare for those things physically, but also prepare for those things mentally as well as emotionally. So it's very important for you to plan for those things, at least in concept. Plan for those things that might not go right all the time. I want you to also always, when it comes to plotting this course and when it comes to this law of navigation, I want you to always point to success. You always want to have a winning attitude. And we're going to talk about having that winning attitude at some point in the future. But for now, I'll just say always point to success. Always point your goals, your objectives, your conversations, your thoughts, and then ultimately your actions. You're pointing those things, or your course is always plotting towards success. I may plan for things that might not go right, but I'm not going to plot a course towards the things that might not go right. I'm going to plot a course directly towards my goals and my objectives. And then the absolute last point here is I want you to review the plot, that the course that you plot, and review your plans. I want you to do that every single day, because again, the success is in the process that we lay out. And if we review that process every single day and we try to win every single day, then we'll win a championship, right? So, and we just have to win more than we lose. Again, we just have to win more than we lose. We don't have to win all the time, but if we review our plan, if we review our process every single day, then what we'll do is we'll stay on top of it, and we will win more than we lose. And again, if we win more than we lose, then we will ultimately win the championship. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Time flies when you're having fun. My name is Rod Brown, and thank you. I send you blessings, and have a wonderful holiday, and we will talk to you next week.